this is a new setup for me and I'm still sorting stuff out, so things will change in the weeks ahead, but hopefully the quality is significantly better now. Okay, continuing with Exodus chapter 6. So we already said that Yahweh goes to Moses and says, "Hey, you need to go talk to the Pharaoh." And he's like, "Why would he listen to me? Because my own people aren't listening to me." Yahweh spoke to Moses and to Aaron and gave them a command to the children of Israel and to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, which we already know. This has already been set up. We're just continuing on, reminding us of what's going on. And now we're going to take a little pause break and talk about where everybody's from, which, we're, at least I'm an American. And so, like, my cultural heritage, like, who cares? I'm an individualist. Like, I know my grandparents' names, and that's as far back as I can go. I don't even know my great grandparents. Like, so the fact that we're going to roll into this might be a little bit weird, but I'll try to help us get through it as best I can. Okay, so these are the heads of their fathers' houses, the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel: Hanok and Palu, Hezron and Carmi. These are the families of Reuben. And if you ever have a student, a teacher, or somebody say your teacher didn't know how to pronounce things, they'll be absolutely correct. I have no idea how to pronounce things. I'm terrible at this, so that's fine. Just get better pronunciations from someone else. Okay, so here we go. The sons of Simeon: Jemuel and Jamin and Ohad and Jachin and Zohar and Shaul, the son of a Canaanite woman. These are the families of Simeon. These are the names of the sons of Levi, according to their generations: Gershon and Kohath, and Meriah. And the years of the life of Levi were 137 years. The sons of Gershon: Libni and Shimei, according to their families. The sons of Kohath: Amram and Izhar and Hebron and Uzziel. And the years of the life of Kohath were 133 years. The sons of Merari, Mali and Mushi. These are the families of the Levites according to their generations. Amram took Jochebed, his father's sister, to himself as wife, and she bore him Aaron and Moses. The years of the life of Amram were 137 years. The son of Ishhar: Korah and Nepheg and Zikri. The sons of Uzziel: Mishael, Elzaphan, and Sithri. Aaron took Elisheba, the daughter of Aminadab and sister of Nahshon, as his wife, and she bore him Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar. The sons of Korah: Asir, Elkanah, and Abishaiah. These are the families of the Korhites. Eleazar, Aaron's son, took one of the daughters of Petuel as his wife, and she bore him Phinehas. These are the heads of the fathers' houses of the Levites according to their families. These are the Aaron and Moses whom Yahweh said, "Bring out the children of Israel from the land of Egypt according to their armies." These are those who spoke to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to bring out the children of Israel from Egypt. These are that Moses and Aaron. Okay, so what's going on with all of this? There's a bunch going on. The names are going all over the place. I can't even pronounce them. This is a whole thing. Okay, but I wanted to pull this out just so it's a little bit easier to follow, okay? Because we've got Levi, okay? And he has sons, including Kohath. And Kohath has sons, including Amram, okay? And Amram has sons named Aaron and Moses. So you're tracking the line, but it's not always easy to see, especially in the text. And in this text in particular, it's really hard to see. But it's broken out where each family has a thing, and then it's like, here are their sons, and then kind of here are their sons' sons, and then here are their sons' in an order. Okay, so it's an order, but that's why it's in this weird order that it's in. Okay, so that's there. But why is it interesting that Aaron and Moses are part of the sons of Levi? Why is this important? Well, if we go back to Genesis 49, Jacob is calling his sons together. And he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen in the future, okay?" And this is the blessing thing that he gives his sons Simeon and Levi. Simeon and Levi are brothers. Their swords are weapons of violence. My soul, don't come into their council. My glory, don't be united to their assembly. For in their anger they killed men. In their self-will they hamstrung cattle. Cursed be their anger, for it is fierce, and their wrath, for it is cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. But that doesn't sound good, right? Like, that doesn't sound like a nice thing. And a student asks, well, what's hamstringing? Okay, so if you don't know, on the back of your ankle, there are tendons and stuff that are there that connect your muscles to your ankle so that your foot works properly and goes up and down and all that. And if you just sever that, then you can't run because you can't pull, right? And this is important for like getting rid of horses so they can't fight, and help you win battles and stuff like that. You just select. It's kind of like popping the tires on a car, right? Like it's kind of like that. In like they can't move, they're immobile. Okay, so they're hamstringing cattle. I'm not sure why cattle is a thing that didn't show up in my commentary, but yeah, that's the whole thing. So what we have here is Levi is the father of Aaron and Moses. And Levi, if you go back to the Old Testament, look up Dinah and the stuff that's going on. Basically, some people treated their sister not very well. Their sister Dinah not well, and so then they concoct this really elaborate scheme so that they can murder everybody. And Jacob's like, "What have you done? Like now everybody hates us because you guys like just lashed out." Okay, and then that comes up here in this. You guys are firebrands, who go out there and just fight people. Like, and Aaron and Moses are part of that. They're part of that line. And what do we know about Moses so far? Well, he killed an Egyptian. So this is part of his history and it's part of his lineage as well. And so this is part of what's going on with this. Also, just lineage is important in general to cultures unlike my own. Okay, so like this is the whole thing. But that's setting up that these are that Moses and Aaron. This Moses and Aaron, okay? They're these guys, okay? So is Moses going to keep being this kind of person or is he going to follow God? Is he going to follow and do what God says? Let's find out. Okay. On the day Yahweh spoke to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, Yahweh said to Moses, I am Yahweh. Tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, all that I tell you. Moses said before Yahweh, behold, I am of uncircumcised lips, and how shall I go, and how shall Pharaoh listen to me? Okay, like, so this is just repeating everything we've already said, just to keep us up to speed on what's going on with the story after we've taken this little detour to find out which Moses and Aaron is this? Who are these guys? Where are they from? Okay, so Yahweh said to Moses, behold, I have made you as God to Pharaoh, and Aaron your brother shall be your prophet. You shall speak all that I command you, and Aaron your brother shall speak to Pharaoh, and he let the children of Israel go out of his land. I will harden Pharaoh's heart and multiply my signs and wonders in the land of Egypt. But Pharaoh will not listen to you, so I will lay my hand on Egypt and bring out my armies, my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments. The Egyptians shall know that I am Yahweh when I stretch out my hand on Egypt and bring the children of Israel out from among them. Now, if you have the NIV, which is what I tend to read, okay, it'll say that, behold, I've made you like God to Pharaoh. The like isn't there. Okay, that's a modern translation issue with like, oh, we don't like the idea of him being God. Okay, he is God. He is the supernatural being. Okay, Moses, you're the supernatural being to Pharaoh. Okay, and Aaron is going to be your prophet. Now, we don't like that, but in this ancient Near Eastern culture, this makes perfect sense because Pharaoh is supposed to be the divine one. He's supposed to be the one who is taking control of everything. And he's the one who's acting as God because he is the representative. And God's like, nope, it's going to be you, Moses, talking to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh is going to have to recognize that you are the one who's actually in control of this whole situation. Because I'm going to use my hand. I'm going to bring you out of Egypt. Okay? He's not going to go for it, but he'll go for it eventually. Okay? Moses and Aaron did so. As Yahweh commanded them, so they did. Moses was 80 years old and Aaron 83 years old when they spoke to Pharaoh. Okay, so cool. They are that gives us a timeline for what's coming up. Okay. Yahweh spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, when Pharaoh speaks to you, saying, perform a miracle, then you shall tell Aaron, take your rod and cast it down before Pharaoh, and it will become a serpent. We've already seen Moses do this. He's seen this happen. So yeah, okay, cool. Now Aaron's going to do it because he's going to be the prophet for Moses. Okay. Moses and Aaron went into Pharaoh, and they did so as Yahweh had commanded. Awesome. They're doing a good job. Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh also called for the wise men and the sorcerers. They also, the magicians of Egypt, did the same thing with their enchantments. For they each cast down their rods, and they became serpents, but Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he didn't listen to them as Yahweh had spoken. Okay, totally predictable. This is how this is going to go down. But what's interesting, you've seen this, I'm sure, lots and lots of times in your Sunday school classes growing up. You've even watched the movie. Okay, you've seen the snake devouring the other snake. And obviously, this is, he's chomping down, which shows that he has more control, more power than those. But what's not so evident to us, unless you watch a lot of anime, like Summer Wars, for example, where a character consumes the other characters and gains their power. And that's what's happening here. He's not just overpowering and being like, look, my snake also ate your snake, so he's clearly stronger. He's a better snake. Okay, a better snake staff. Okay, like it's not just that. It's that now he's consumed their powers and now they have to work for him. And you're going to see this in the text. I think this is really, really cool because it's there, okay? But I never saw it because this isn't part of my cultural background. And so I think this is really cool. Okay, so Yahweh said to Moses, Pharaoh's heart is stubborn. Okay, and notice that it's Pharaoh's heart was hardened. It's this passive thing, okay? In other places, God is hardening Pharaoh's heart. And in other places, Pharaoh hardens his own heart, okay? So you've got kind of three different situations talking about what's going on here. And remember, the hardening here is not God's making him sin. It's the hardening, as we've talked about before, is this setting resolve, steeling yourself to carry on with what you're going to do. Okay, so Pharaoh's already on this path. This isn't new to him, but God's like, yeah, keep going, man, keep resisting. Okay, and then other times the text just says that it is resisting. Okay, and then still other places Pharaoh's like, no, I'm doing this. Okay, and the hardening here also has this idea of weightiness, and so it's possible that the text is actually playing with the idea of the Egyptian afterlife motif, where the idea that your heart gets balanced against the feather of truth, and the heavier it is, the more likely you're going to get eaten by the devourer. So, like, the text also might be pointing that direction, although apparently there's some disagreement on what's going on with that, but I think that's kind of fine. Okay, but Yahweh said, Pharaoh's heart is stubborn. There we go, okay. He refuses to let the people go. Go to Pharaoh in the morning. Behold, he is going out to the water. You shall stand by the river's bank to meet him. You shall take the rod, which was turned to a serpent, in your hand. You shall tell him, Yahweh, the God of the Hebrews, has sent me to you, saying, let my people go, that they may serve me in the wilderness. Behold, until now you haven't listened. Yahweh says, in this you shall know that I am Yahweh. Behold, I will strike with the rod that is in my hand on the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood. The fish that are in the river will die, and the water will become foul. The Egyptians will loathe to drink water from the river. Yahweh said to Moses, tell Aaron, take your rod and stretch out your hand over the waters of Egypt, over the rivers, over their streams, and over their pools, and over all the ponds of water, that they may become blood. There will be blood throughout all the land of Egypt, both in the vessels of wood and in the vessels of stone. Moses and Aaron did as Yahweh commanded, and he lifted up the rod and struck the waters and that were in the river in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants, and all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood. The fish that were in the river died. The river became foul. The Egyptians couldn't drink the water from the river. The blood was throughout all the land of Egypt. The magicians of Egypt did the same thing with their enchantments. So Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he didn't listen to them as Yahweh has spoken. Pharaoh turned and went into his house, and he didn't even take this to heart. All the Egyptians dug around the river for water to drink, for they couldn't drink the river water. 7 days were fulfilled after Yahweh had struck the river. Okay, so we have this picture, right, where he goes out, and they're like, look, we're gonna take care of the Nile here for you. Okay, and remember, Nile is the lifeblood of Egypt. Okay, like without it, you're gonna die because you're in the middle of a desert, right? And I drew a picture of this. I should have drawn a picture for this. Sorry, I didn't prepare. But we have the river of the Nile, and it's now blood. Now, some people look at this and they're like, okay, well, it's not actually blood. It might just be an algae bloom that makes the water red and gross, and it does kill everything. And so this is totally possible. This is a naturalistic thing. And that's possible. Because if you look at the miracles in the Bible, like they're often they just kind of happen. They're just kind of like this thing that happened. Like they're clearly supernatural, but they're naturally supernatural in a lot of ways. Like this happens. It just God's doing it now for this reason at this time to do this particular thing. Now, there are other scholars who say this isn't a good explanation of everything that's going on, but we'll talk through some of that as we continue to go on. But just so you know, if this is a natural phenomenon, it's a natural phenomenon that God is using for his supernatural purposes. Okay, because part of this is that Pharaoh's job as the divine being who's in charge of Egypt is to maintain the way things are supposed to go. I think they call it mat. It's like the flow of life. And naturally, being in charge of like, hey, is the Nile River doing what it's supposed to do? That would be a big part of Pharaoh's job. And can he do it right now? No, he can't, because Moses, who's acting, he's God to Pharaoh. He's coming in saying, I'm going to turn it into blood, and you're not going to be able to stop me. Okay? You're not going to be able to stop. Your job is to make this not happen, and you can't. Sorry, Pharaoh, we win. Okay? And so that happens, but notice that the magicians do the same thing. So they're helping, right? They're making more blood. Okay, they're making it worse because again, their staffs got eaten. They're on Moses' team, whether they want to be or not. Okay, but Pharaoh is like, yeah, whatever. Okay. And then you have 7 days. Okay, so 7 days happen. All right, moving on. Chapter 8. Yahweh spoke to Moses. Go to Pharaoh and tell him, this is what Yahweh says. Let my people go, that they may serve me. Hey, look at this. The theme has not changed. Okay? If you refuse to let them go, behold, I will plague all your borders with frogs. The river will swarm with frogs, which will go up and come into your house and into your bedroom and on your bed and into the house of your servants and on your people and in your ovens and into your kneading troughs. The frogs shall come up on both you and on your people and on all your servants. Yahweh said to Moses, tell Aaron, stretch out your hand with your rod over the rivers, over the streams, over the pools, and cause frogs to come up on the land of Egypt. Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. The magicians did the same thing with their enchantments and brought up frogs on the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh called to Moses and Aaron and said, entreat Yahweh that he take away the frogs from me and my people, and I will let the people go, that they may sacrifice to Yahweh. Moses said to Pharaoh, I give you the honor of setting the time that I should pray for you and for your servants and for your people, that the frogs be destroyed from you and your houses and remain in the river only. Pharaoh said, tomorrow. Moses said, let it be according to your word, that you may know that there is no one like Yahweh our God. The frogs shall depart from you, and from your houses, and from your servants, and from your people. They shall remain in the river only. Moses and Aaron went out from Pharaoh, and Moses cried out to Yahweh concerning the frogs that he had brought on Pharaoh. Yahweh did according to the word of Moses, and the frogs died out of the houses, out of the courts, and out of the fields. They gathered them together in heaps, and the land stank. But when Pharaoh saw that there was respite, he hardened his heart, and he didn't listen to them, as Yahweh had spoken. I think it's hilarious that we have this idea of like, yeah, the frogs are going to go away. And by go away, we mean die, and you're going to have to pile them up, and then the land is going to stink with them. Or in other translation, reek with them. I don't know if you've ever encountered a dead animal. I had a squirrel fall into one of my trash cans. I didn't realize this until later. And so when I came to take out my trash later, it smelled like, normally my trash doesn't smell very good, but now it really reeked. And that was because there was a dead decomposing squirrel. It also rained, and so there was water in it. Like, it was so gross. Okay, it was so gross just from one squirrel. And frogs are like more, oh, I can't imagine how gross that must have been. Again, from a naturalistic explanation, it is entirely possible that after the water becomes unlivable, the only thing that's going to survive is going to be something that's amphibious, that can go from the water to the land, which would be the frogs. They're going to leave the water that is putrid and awful from the algae bloom and go up onto the land. Like, that would make sense, because everything that stays there dies. Okay, so there's a possibility, although it's been 7 days, so that timing seems kind of weird, right? And even if it's completely natural, again, God is in control of it, and he's like, yeah, now it's going to stop, and now they're all just going to die. Okay, so like there's stuff going on. Okay, like here we go. All right. Also, the frog thing, that might be a reference to and a jab at the one of the goddesses of life, or at least birth and that kind of stuff. She had a frog connection, and so maybe, possibly, it's a thing. Okay. Yahweh said to Moses, tell Aaron, stretch out your rod and strike the dust of the earth, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Egypt. This word lice here, we don't actually know exactly what little critter it is. It's a little critter. Yours might say something different, like gnats or something. Okay. They did so, and Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod and struck the dust of the earth, and there were lice on man and on animal, and all the dust of the earth became lice throughout all the land of Egypt. The magicians tried with their enchantments to produce lice, but they couldn't. There were lice on man and on animal. Then the magicians said to Pharaoh, "This is God's finger." But Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he didn't listen to them as Yahweh had spoken. The magicians are so we're supposed to be on this team, but we can't even do this. Okay, we're sorry, we're out. This is clearly God. Like back off, man. But Pharaoh's heart is hard. It was hard. It was hardened. It passively happened. Before, Pharaoh hardened his own heart. Okay, but now it's just hardened again. And this trade-off happens regularly. There's been studies on this. It's a whole thing. Okay. Yahweh said to Moses, "Rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh. But behold, he comes out to the water, and tell him, 'This is what Yahweh says. Let my people go, that they may serve me. Else, if you will not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies on you, and on your servants, and on your people, and into your houses. The houses of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground they are on. I will set apart in that day the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, to the end you may know that I am Yahweh on the earth. I will put a division between my people and your people. This sign shall happen by tomorrow.'" He's always given an advance warning, man. Like, this is coming. You better make a better choice. And he doesn't. So Yahweh did so. And there came grievous swarms of flies into the house of Pharaoh and into his servants' houses. In all the land of Egypt, the land was corrupted by reason of swarms of flies. Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron and said, "Go, sacrifice to your God in the land." Moses said, "It isn't appropriate to do so, for if we shall sacrifice the abomination of the Egyptians to Yahweh our God, to Yahweh our God. Behold, if we sacrifice the abomination of the Egyptians before their eyes, won't they stone us? We will go 3 days' journey into the wilderness and sacrifice to Yahweh our God as he commands us." Okay, so the Egyptians aren't going to like it, so we're not going to do that. Okay. Pharaoh said, "I will let you go, that you may sacrifice to Yahweh your God in the wilderness. Only you shall not go very far away. Pray for me. Don't go 3 days. Stay close, just in case I need to come get you." Moses said, "Behold, I am going out from you. I will pray to Yahweh that the swarms of flies may depart from Pharaoh and his servants and from his people tomorrow. Only don't let Pharaoh deal deceitfully anymore in not letting the people go to sacrifice to Yahweh." Moses went out from Pharaoh and prayed to Yahweh. Yahweh did according to the word of Moses, and he removed the swarms of flies from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people. There remained not one. Pharaoh hardened his heart this time also, and he didn't let the people go. Okay, so now we've got not only the flies. So again, supernatural, natural. There is a potential like this could naturally follow on from what's been going on. From like you got a bunch of dead stuff there, so you got all this, all these little critters, and then flies come. Like this is possible, but also they're not in Goshen. Okay, so like there's also supernatural stuff going on very clearly with all of this. Okay, because God is saying my people are different. Okay, my people are different. I'm taking care of them differently. Okay, and Pharaoh hardens his heart. All right. Then Yahweh said to Moses, "Go into Pharaoh and tell him, this is what Yahweh, the God of the Hebrews, says. Let my people go, that they may serve me. For if you refuse to let them go and hold them still, behold, Yahweh's hand is on your livestock, which are in the field, on the horses, on the donkeys, on the camels, on the herds, and on the flocks with a very grievous pestilence. Yahweh will make a distinction between the livestock of Israel and the livestock of Egypt, and nothing shall die of all that belongs to the children of Israel." Yahweh appointed a set time, saying, "Tomorrow Yahweh shall do this thing in the land." Yahweh did that thing on the next day, and all the livestock of Egypt died, but of the livestock of the children of Israel, not one died. Pharaoh sent, and behold, there was not so much as one of the livestock of the Israelites dead. But the heart of Pharaoh was stubborn, and he didn't let the people go. So now we're taking out, your livestock and stuff. So now we're systematically ruining Egypt. Okay, we're having flies come and destroy everything, and now animals are dying. Which, great, if you have flies and they're biting the things, then the animals are getting sick, and so this is all naturally possible to follow on from this kind of stuff that's been going on. And now you don't have any animals. So when you finally drive the people of Israel out, your slaves, when you finally drive them out, you're not going to have any animals to do any work for you either. You've lost your servants and your powerhouses. Okay, like this is not going to go well for you. Right? And he even checks. He even checks, and yep, this livestock in Israel was fine, and yet he's still like, no, I'm sticking to my convictions. I am not letting you go. Okay. I don't care who this Yahweh guy claims to be. Okay. I'm not recognizing him as in control. I'm in control. I'm Pharaoh. He's holding to his convictions and what he values and his opinions about things. Yahweh said to Moses and Aaron, take handfuls of ashes of the furnace, and let Moses sprinkle it toward the sky in sight of Pharaoh. It shall become small dust over all the land of Egypt, and shall be boils and blisters breaking out on man and animal throughout all the land of Egypt. They took ashes of the furnace and stood before Pharaoh. Moses sprinkled it up toward the sky, and it became boils and blisters breaking out on man and animal. The magicians couldn't stand before Moses because of the boils, for the boils were on the magicians and on all the Egyptians. Yahweh hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and he didn't listen to them, as Yahweh had spoken to Moses. So now, if you have a disease that affects your cattle and your livestock, then it's going to now jump to the people, and it's going to become this gross thing. So boils are where your skin like puffs up with like pus and gross stuff like that. So my mother drinks a lot of coffee, and once when I was a child, she accidentally knocked her really hot coffee into her lap, and she had these giant boils on her skin from the burn that she got, and that was super gross. This is even grosser because this is an illness, and like just it boils gross, super gross. Okay, and when you're that gross, when you're sick like that, when you're diseased, you can't stand before Pharaoh or Moses. Okay, you can't go there. So now you've got all of these super powered awesome magician people who can't even go because they've got this problem that they have. Okay. And but Pharaoh's like, man, what are we doing? So that's where we're going to have to stop now. We'll carry on next time.